He gonna cry in the car. Ryan Garcia says he got to the Canelo's gym and he pulled out the fight because he was crying. He was crying in it. All of a sudden, the emotions, they start rushing him. He was crying in it. We're going to talk about this and more in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. 2022 is up. Let's go. We're going to keep it moving. Throw a like on the video. Ryan Garcia said some very, very interesting things, and I want to discuss that in this video. Lega. Ryan Garcia did an interview. Link will be in the description by Dan Rayfield. And he says, quote, "When I got to the gym, I just burst out crying for no reason in front of everybody, and I ran out of the gym. That was the moment I decided to pull out of the Javier Fortuna fight. Canelo, baby, you want baby? Everybody, they were there. And I was just trying to work out, and I just couldn't hold it in. I just burst. I got out the gym. I said, I gotta go, guys." Ryan Garcia continues by saying, "I was crying, and I was walking with my lawyer, Guadalupe Valencia, outside, and I was like, quote, what's wrong with me, man? I just don't get this. I was walking with him for an hour, and I just couldn't get myself together. I didn't know what was going on. My body just felt off. Everything felt off. It was not just mental. It was like physical. I just felt like I couldn't do anything." Ryan Garcia. Now, according to his recant, it sounds like he had a lot going on. Listen, this is almost a weird subject because more and more people are introducing like themes that have always been in people's lives, but they're integrating it into boxing. We're just in a weird time, cancel culture and PC culture and things like that. And it's just, this is unprecedented times where a boxer is, boxers are normally known for being the most mentally put together and mentally durable and physically durable. We cannot forget that. Physically durable and mentally durable people on the planet. There is no sport like boxing, You can't play boxing. While other sports, like let's say basketball, if LeBron James gets elbowed, that person who elbowed him is going to get, depending on if it was intentional, he's going to get some type of foul. Things will be done. You'll get to shoot, etc. Right? So while other athletes pretend that something happened, when it happens, like physically, boxers have to pretend nothing happened. You know what I mean? Because you never want to show that type of weakness in the sport of boxing. If a guy hits you with a body shot and you you gasp or wince, then he knows he got you. Look at the Gary Russell Jr. fight. It was very apparent in that round 4 that something was wrong with his arm or shoulder because he just winced out of nowhere and started almost to retreat in pain. So while boxers are known for masking their fears, their inhibitions, their problems, their anguish, their pain, guys like Mike Tyson, Ryan Garcia is, going a different way and telling you all about it. He also said that he thought about, like Kurt Cobain type of thoughts, if you know what I mean. And I don't want to say too much. So these are serious implications. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what brought this on. And he didn't really elaborate in the interview. But my thing is this, pressure bursts pipes, and it's possible that just people are built different. But I also think this is such a sensitive subject that I also feel like if somebody is really not good and they're not fit to compete, then this should be looked at further, because if you're going to lean heavily on this, because we keep seeing it, Tyson Fury, and realistically speaking, it's kind of funny that out of all of like black fighters that I can recall seeing, I never really recall a black fighter using mental health and bad nerves and you know what I mean, to get out of a fight. But Tyson Fury always talks about mental health and what he went through, and Ryan Garcia. And I just think it's something to note, because there's a lot of things that happen within the black community that it's just like you're expected to get through it, you know. Buster Douglas, his mom literally died weeks before he was about to fight the great Iron Mike Tyson. And if that's not a different level of stress and pressure, then, you know, I'm not really sure what is. And somehow, some way, he pulls off one of the most massive upsets in boxing history that night, you know, away from home in Tokyo, things like that. So, you know, to each his own, different people are built different. But if fighters like Ryan Garcia are going to continue talking about this, we've also seen Teofimo say, you know, he felt Cobain-ish and he felt like this and felt depressed, and it's becoming an emerging theme, especially with some of these young fighters. God forbid anything were to happen to them, because this is boxing, it's a sport, it's our entertainment and stuff. But human life is worth more than entertainment and a fight. So the fighters that keep leaning heavily on this, they should really be evaluated. It's no different than if a fighter is telling you that, oh, my arm's broken. It's up to the commission and the people, the doctors and the people involved in the fight, before the fight or whatever, to complete a certain procedural like process to see if that fighter is literally and truly fit to compete and ready for competition. Or if you look at the fight like Matias, right? There's a guy, Subriel Matias, he just fought over the weekend, and he's a damaging, repeated, like punishing puncher, and he's literally, unfortunately, killed a man in the sport of boxing, right? Because of the sustained beating that was endured. So he fought this last dude, and the guy was insanely tough, Anan or whatever the guy's name was, right? And he was insanely tough and pretty durable. And it was like, man, this guy won't go away. But then he got hit with a shot. And then after that shot, it was looking bad for him. And considering the fact that this person has 187 somebody, you know, in combat in this sport of boxing, the doctor had to stop it in the corner because the guy's responses, he just looked, he was clearly concussed and he was out of it. So, you know, it's no different for Ryan Garcia when he's constantly talking about, I felt this way and this way. This needs to be looked at to the point where, how are you even able to compete if you keep doing interviews telling the world that you something was wrong and overwhelming your body? I mean, that's a lot of pressure for anybody, you know? So I feel like the more people try to lean down, if mental health is really plaguing them and getting the best of them to the point where they're crippled and can't do a workout and, you know, can't do what some of the other fighters in the past have done, like mask their pain. When, like Gary Russell Jr., he just fought over the weekend. His brother was killed or died last year, right? His dad is sick. So Leo Santa Cruz is fighting all the time and his dad is sick. And I get it. Different people they can compartmentalize things differently. But if a person is crying out for help, then that needs to be really considered, because I keep hearing about Ryan Garcia and his anguish and how it's like overwhelmingly crippling. And to me, it's not something to play with. So either you have these things wrong with you and you really shouldn't be fighting if that's the case, because God forbid, we don't want another situation like Oliver McCall, where a guy has a mental breakdown in the ring. It's not even that serious for other people's enjoyment and stuff. So my thing is this: if you can't take that type of pressure of celebrity and stardom, you got to figure that out before you worry about, you got to face that fight in that particular battle, right? To the point where, like, and see, this is the other thing that's really, I guess you could say, sketch or sus with this whole situation with Ryan Garcia is the duality of his personality. On one regard, he's bouncing up and down like a kangaroo on the Mike Tyson podcast, and Mike Tyson like, Tank, I got Ryan Garcia. He called you a bitch nigga, right? And Mike is egging it on and instigating, and Ryan's bouncing up and down like, oh, I'll destroy you, boy. You gonna need a Stairmaster, boy. You can't defeat me. And he's like shadow boxing, and it's that level of duality that is very concerning, that Ryan Garcia is trash talking whilst also talking about constant torment, anxiety, and pain. And, you know, to me, I don't think you can play both sides of the fence like that. That's like me being a Crip and a Blood. It just wouldn't work. You can't be blooded out like, what's bracking? Hey, cuz. And then play both sides. That's called false flagging. You know what I'm saying? People in the past have done this or attempted to do it where, you know, they'll be a Crip, and then when they get a little bit older, they decide they want to be a Blood or whatever. But that's kind of false flagging. I feel like you have to either be a pioneer for this new look of like examination of mental awareness and mental health, or you could be a trash talker. But Ryan Garcia is attempting to really defy the odds and be both. He's saying he's going to knock out Tank and spark dudes out, and Devin Haney, if that was me, I would have KO'd you. And he's saying things like that. But then he's also saying he was uncontrollably crying in the gym because he got too much on his plate. You know, these things don't really make sense to me. Maybe you guys can make it make sense in the comment section. Let me know how I did in this video. Let me know what you guys think of Ryan Garcia. The other thing is just the constant tweets and being on social media saying I got a big announcement or trash talking. I feel like it is more damaging when Ryan continues to do these interviews saying that he's crying and stuff, but then he's talking about Isak Pitbull Cruz. I guess he was a Chihuahua after all, and he wasn't a Pitbull. Or Devin Haney, if that was me instead of Jorge Linares, I would have KO'd you. Or Tank, I'm going to destroy you in 2 rounds. Tank's too short. He going to need a Stairmaster. I feel like you got to pick a side, got to keep it there, like Nipsey Hussle said. Switching out, next, look at where. Pick a side, got to keep it there. You got to pick a side and keep it there. And maybe it's just something with this young generation, but we've seen Ryan Garcia, Tyson Fury. I mean, he's older than them, but Teofimo, and they're leaning heavily on this mental health and bad nerves and stuff like that. And this is just, everybody has problems, you know, in terms of life. Life is going to throw you lemons. I've had to conduct myself, you know, I'm not going to get into all my business, but I've went through some of the worst of my adult times while I had a YouTube channel and didn't nobody know. I had to, you know, figure that out myself, right? And as a consummate professional, continue to put out hits and content, because I had an old acting teacher, and he said when you go to a casting call, nobody cares. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying people shouldn't get the help that they need. They definitely should. But at the end of the day, you got to pick a side and decide what you're going to do. Do you need to take some time away and get help? And if that's the case, then how are you trash talking? You know? So it's not going to, you're never going to make that make sense, how somebody with anxiety is trash talking. Somebody who has like bad nerves and worries and things like that is also instigating and trash talking dangerous foes like Isak Pitbull Cruz, calling him a Chihuahua, skilled fighters like Devin Haney, power punchers and southpaw like Gervonta Davis. It really doesn't make sense. So if you guys think you can make it make sense, let me know some in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, and I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.